Raised in hiding and ignorant of his true heritage and the history of his family, Luke Skywalker still knew very little about his father after the events of Return of the Jedi. While Luke didn't blame Anakin for his actions during his time as Darth Vader, Leia did, and Luke wished that she could see things as he did. Although he attempted to discuss Anakin with Leia several times and expressed his desire to learn about his father's past, Leia refused. The story of Luke investigating Anakin's origins and the history of his family is told in the Legends book A New Hope: The Life of Luke Skywalker. Luke explained to Leia that he felt compelled to learn about Anakin's life, so that he could understand how he became the man he was, and how certain circumstances of Anakin's life might have affected his decisions. Luke knew that he couldn't learn from his father's mistakes if he didn't know what they were, and by learning about the past, he would be better prepared for the future. Luke took to researching the HoloNet for any and all data about the Jedi Order. Unfortunately, most of the information he found was merely old Imperial propaganda. The Empire's leaders still claimed that the Jedi Knights who had served the Republic during the Clone Wars had been secretly plotting to overthrow the Republic and conquer the galaxy. Luke knew that the data was lies, and that it was the Emperor who had manipulated events to bring down the Jedi Order and fulfill his own ambitions. Luke didn't expect to find any data about Obi-Wan, Yoda, or Anakin. He'd searched the HoloNet before and had only come up empty. However, this time he found something. Luke could hardly believe his eyes when he discovered his father's name in an article that was recently posted by a former pod racer named Clegg Holdfast. Although pod racing remained illegal throughout the galaxy, the destruction of the second Death Star had apparently emboldened Holdfast to write about the outlawed sport. Holdfast's article was a history of the Boonta Eve Classic, a once famous pod race competition that had been held annually at the Mos Espa Arena on Tatooine. The article provided a list of Boonta winners and other participants. According to the data, Anakin Skywalker's victory had occurred 36 years earlier. Luke studied the article with amazement. After the conflicting accounts he'd heard from his uncle and aunt as well as Obi-Wan, he'd begun to wonder whether his father had ever been on Tatooine at all. Now it appeared he had proof. He navigated through the article and found a holographic image and schematics of Anakin's pod racer. Unfortunately, Holdfast had not provided any images of Anakin himself. Luke scanned through the article, learning that the Mos Espa Arena had become a track for swoop bike races and 2 veteran pilots of the Boonta were currently employed as mechanics. Luke decided right then that he was overdue for a vacation. As he returned to his homeworld of Tatooine, Luke remembered how he had told Obi-Wan that he would never return, yet he had several times. He landed his X-Wing on the roof of the Mos Espa Grand Arena, and he made his way to the 2 mechanics he was looking for, Odi Mandrell and Teemto Pagales. From them, Luke learned as much information about Anakin's role in pod racing as he could. They recalled how Anakin was only 9 when he had won the Boonta, how he was a speed demon, and he never cheated in a race. Luke asked if they knew where Anakin had lived, and they directed him to Mos Espa, instructing him to visit Watto's junk shop, which was now owned by Anakin's childhood friend, Wald. As Luke made his way to Wald's shop in Mos Espa, he was confused by R2's insistence about accompanying him. Inside the shop, Luke thought of how much he would have loved this place in his youth, filled with metal scrap and odd bits of machinery. Meeting Wald, Luke said that he was looking to find out information on Anakin Skywalker. From Wald, Luke would learn the shocking truth of Anakin's life on Tatooine, and how he had not only won the Boonta Eve, but won his freedom as well. Wald told Luke how Anakin and his mother Shmi were once Watto's slaves, and how Anakin had left Tatooine with a Jedi Knight. Wald told Luke how Shmi had stayed behind and remained a slave after Anakin left. Wald said that Shmi had looked out for him after that, and had been sold and married to the farmer Klieg Lars, and that he had even attended their wedding in Anchorhead. At hearing all of this information about his grandmother, Luke's memory flashed to the unmarked graves on the Lars homestead, where he knew that she rested. Wald mentioned how awful the circumstances of Shmi's death was, and informed Luke how she had been abducted and killed by Tusken Raiders. Luke's knees felt weak, and he steadied himself on R2 before abruptly telling Wald that he had to go. The air outside was even hotter than in the shop, but Luke took a deep breath anyway. He had spent so many years wondering about the life of Anakin Skywalker and had been so excited when he discovered that his father had been a pod racer pilot on Tatooine. Now he just felt drained and exhausted. He thought of how awful it was that his father and grandmother were once slaves. And then he felt outraged. Not just because of the injustice of Anakin and Shmi's lives, but because Owen and Beru had never told him. But then he wondered if Owen and Beru even knew that Shmi was once a slave. He also realized that Obi-Wan must have known. Yet Luke realized that he wasn't angry with Owen, Beru, or Obi-Wan. He knew in his heart that there was a reason they had not told him the truth about so many things. They'd only been doing what they thought best to protect him. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and may the Force be with you.